Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. It is of course that time of the week once again when the weekly challenges go ahead and refresh. And this week we have purely monetary game rewards on offer. However, as I predicted, we do have the brand new Formula car as this week's special event. And admittedly, that one is an absolute high-speed blast, pun 100% intended. Anyway, let's head over for an overview for this week. This is of course January week 5. This will end on the 6th of February 2025 at midnight. In terms of the first event this week, we have Brands Hatch Indy circuit featuring the European Sunday Cup 400. We then move over to Fuji International Speedway for the Japanese Clubman Cup 550 before heading to one of the new events from 1.55 at Interlagos, the WTC 600. We then head over to Spa for the Porsche Cup before finishing off with the brand new special event featuring the new Formula F3 500 in a one-make race around High Speed Ring. Now in terms of the rewards this week, for one event it's 100,000 credits, for 3 is 200,000 and for all 5 it's 500k. So here we go then, event number 1 of the week. This is Brands Hatch Indy circuit with the European Sunday Cup 400. Of course, this is aimed at European cars around a 400 pp rating. It doesn't matter on the drivetrain. So of course, we're aiming at the lower bunch of vehicles in game. Now my car of choice for this one, well, that would be the Lancia Delta with a bit of a special livery. If you can name it, head to the comments. Now in terms of this event, you are looking at 8 cars total. Of course, 7 AI opponents up ahead over a 3-lap sprint race of this very small Brands Hatch layout. Now it's worth noting that the Lancia I'm using here has 0 modifications to it apart from of course the visual changes that you're seeing on screen with the car. Now in terms of the majority of the AI opponents here, they are super simple to go up against. Of course, as always, I will be running the game on the hardest difficulty and trying my best to stick to any PP limit or recommendation given by the game. So you'll probably work your way through the grid relatively nice and easy up until you get around about P3. Now at that point, the front 2 vehicles do tend to have a pretty large gap to the rest of the field, that being the 208 GTI and the Megane RS. Those 2 cars are certainly the highlight of the field. As for the rest of the AI, honestly, you shouldn't have too many problems with them. As you can see here, round about midway through lap 2, and I'm already moving up into the top 3 positions. So of course, we've already confirmed that we will 100% get the tick at this point. And then on the final lap, we're going to make a move on the Peugeot before tracking down that Megane and trying to get the overtake done. Thankfully, the Megane did seemingly get caught up behind the 208 for what seemed like the majority of the event before breaking free, and thankfully wasn't too far up the road. So we got that overtake done and finished first place by just over a single second. And that is going to be tick number 1 of the week. Now in terms of the payout for this one, of course it is relatively low. We're going to get 10,500 credits for this one. Of course we do have the clean race bonus on top of that, so we get plus 50% and 100,000 credits. So event number 2 of the week takes us to Fuji International Speedway. This is for the Japanese Clubman Cup 550. Now this is mainly notorious for featuring the cheating Fair Lady Z, which typically just absolutely disappears off into the distance, as well as the chance for a slight bit of a downpour during the event. Now my car of choice here would of course be the brand new Honda Civic EF, and of course I tuned the car up to sit at around about 550 pp running on sports soft compounded tyres, and I do recommend taking a set of road tyres here. Again, if the rain starts coming down, you cannot go ahead and pit in time to actually go ahead and win the event. Now in terms of the actual race itself, again the majority of the AI are pretty easy. The main one you're looking for is the Fair Lady. That thing just typically disappears off into the distance, so even once you get yourself into P2, that thing is going to be way down the road and you're going to have to begin chasing it down. Now in terms of the rest of the event, it's going to be relatively straightforward to begin with. You may notice the sky's a little bit grey, so just keep that in mind, as around about the end of lap 2 you will start seeing rain coming in, and by the time you get onto lap 3 it's going to end up in towards intermediate conditions, in which case it's going to be a lot trickier on the road ahead. However, this should typically slow down that Fair Lady, which should give you a helping hand to get it overtaken and get yourself into the lead. So I recommend picking a car that is quick enough in a straight line, but nice and stable and not too difficult to drive, so that you don't get caught out when the conditions start getting a little bit tricky. In the end, I ended up taking a lead of just over 2 seconds as I crossed the line in first place, and that is going to give us tick number 2 of the week. Now, of course, this is a relatively low paying event. I took away 30,000 credits with the clean race bonus over 8.5 miles travelled. Event number 3 takes place at Interlagos. This is the WTC 600, of course a brand new event for update 1.55 and mainly centering around the brand new Hyundai Ioniq 5N. Now, in terms of the race itself, it is a 5-lap sprint race, so it's going to be over and done with relatively quickly. Now, of course, my car of choice here would be said Hyundai. Now, of course, in terms of the car, we do have it upgraded slightly to just under 600 pp. Of course, there is a pp limit cap here of 600 in place, so you cannot go ahead and go over it. A few changes I made was a set of sports mediums, upgraded brakes, and of course an upgraded suspension, and really that's about it. Now, of course, there's a lot of cars here that can win very nice and easily. Now, in terms of the Hyundai, we do have the overtake button, which is very handy for coming out of corners as well as keeping up with our more conventional cars on the straight. However, in terms of the overall feeling of the car, it is much heavier than a lot of other vehicles out there. There is a few of the AI that you may need to watch for. Now, thankfully, the randomized grid setting does basically mean that it's going to be different every single time, and you might end up with some of the more kind of overpowered AI opponents starting towards the back, which kind of works in your favor. Now, for me, that was the case for the majority of the AI, apart from the Roof RGT, which was just way faster than anything else. Things like the NSX and the Gallardo were kind of stuck mid-pack, just battling away with each other, as you see in here. So thankfully those cars didn't manage to break free. By the time we overtaken them, there wasn't too much left to do. So after overtaking some of the faster opponents, it was just a case of getting ourselves into podium positions, and that's what we did at the beginning of lap 3, overtaking the Hyundai around the outside. And then towards the end of lap 3, we got ourselves into a nice secure P2, overtaking the RE Emilia there. And then would come a lap and a half long battle with the Roof RGT. That thing was insanely quick. We could try our best to keep up through the corners, but that being a lot less weighty and also just a lot faster in a straight line meant we did end up having to concede the position multiple times. And I'll be totally honest here, this is one of the most fun battles I've had with the AI in GT7 in a very long time. This car put up an incredible fight, and as soon as I thought I had the edge, the thing would just overtake me once again. It ended in a drag race to the finish line, in which the Roof did end up taking away P1 from us. However, we did still manage tick number 3 of the week. Now, in terms of our payout for this one, we did keep the clean race bonus and took away 81,000 credits for P2, and of course 200k on top. So event number 4 takes place at Spa. This is the Porsche Cup, and once again we do have a PP limit which is set in stone at 650 pp. Now, in this case, I do recommend one of the 911 GT3s, which can be tuned very nicely to that limit. Now, my car of choice for this one would of course be a Porsche 911 GT3 from 2001. Now, I do have a few slight changes to the car itself. It's running on a set of racing hards, and it does have a few slight tune-ups to it. Now, in terms of the PP rating, it sits at around about 635, and this car was absolutely good enough to do the job. Now, in terms of the majority of this event, it is going to be in dry conditions. However, at times it does tend to threaten that it's going to rain, but it didn't seem to actually hit the track. So I'm unsure if it's randomized and it can actually rain, or if it will just always stay dry. However, in my case, as mentioned, it did stay dry for the entirety of this event. Now, in terms of the AI, of course, there are 15 of them on track, which is a nice mix of different road-going Porsches. However, the main couple that you have to watch out for, of course, are the 911 GT3s, mainly the 2001 and 2009 model, which typically sit way out from the rest of the grid. The main one you're actually watching for is the one we're overtaking here, which is the 2009 model, which is on its way to overtake the 2001 model, and eventually it will end up getting past it, so just ensure you get that overtake done sooner rather than later. However, this event does take over 10 minutes, so you have plenty of time to get this one done and dusted, and in the end I took a relatively comfortable win by just over 2.5 seconds. That is going to be tick number 4 of the week. Now in terms of the payout for this one, again it is relatively low. I took away 131,000 credits for this one with the 50% bonus, and I do get my daily driving marathon here in the form of a 4-star ticket. So the 5th and final event of the week is a brand new special event for the F3 500. Of course, it is a one make over at High Speed Ring, and overall it is a very high speed and enjoyable event. I absolutely loved my time with this one. So let's go ahead and have a look at the more finer details. Now in terms of the race itself, it is a 15 lap sprint style race. There are 12 cars in total, which at first I didn't think would be enough, but overall I did find just about the right amount here. Now fuel and tyre weight is set at 2 times for both. Usable tyres and types is all of the racing compounds as well as intermediates and wets. The regulations and specified car is the F3 500A. Now in terms of the payouts for this one, it's not too bad. 150k for first, 90k for second and 60k for third. Of course, all of the main rival cars are going to be the same as you. Now in terms of the car restrictions, BOP is off. Car used is a garage car settings are allowed, mechanical damage none, and for the penalties it's a light shortcut penalty and off for wall collisions. Now of course my car choice here is restricted to the F3 500, which I went for a classic Lotus F1 livery for. Now in terms of the event itself, I do recommend a set of racing softs. You won't need to worry about your fuel use, so keep it at fuel mix 1, and again you won't need to pit in for tyres at any point during this race. This is purely just a high speed blast around the high speed ring. Now in terms of the racing itself, I only just caught up to the AI at the end of lap 2. They were incredibly competitive here. However, this is a very slipstream heavy race, and as you can see, you will quickly fall off the back of the pack if you are not in a slipstream. So I fully recommend just sitting and waiting and getting ready to pick them off one by one. I then ran into the issue that whilst the leader was only around about 5 seconds up ahead, there was a huge gap to the rest of the field, and this is where you want to conserve as much tyre life as possible, as the AI tends to drop off in terms of their performance around about lap 8 to lap 9 majorly. I eventually pushed through enough that on lap 7 I did start catching up towards the back of the kind of lead group of vehicles. And thankfully it will be on lap 8 and lap 9 that the tyre performance for the rest of the AI would start to kind of decline, and we'd be able to get ourselves into a podium position. So on to lap 8, we're up to P3, and of course we're going to try and battle away for the lead. Now towards the end of lap 8 we managed to move ourselves into P2 and attempt to get that slipstream for P1. After this it will be a major battle over the top 3 positions with constant position changes, the AI being incredibly quick in the slipstream, and then me attempting to constantly try and get that position back. I feel like the AI here are set really well, that they are competitive. It was very fun, very fast, very frantic. It was just constant changes for the lead. As you can see, we did eventually lose the lead before a lap later, getting it back down the inside here. Once again using that slipstream, moving over to the inside and then trying to force our way through, which we did eventually do. And after that it was just a case of holding on for dear life and hoping we can take the win, which we eventually did by around about 2.5 tenths of a second. An extremely close race here. That is tick number 5 of the week. In terms of the payout, I didn't manage to get the clean race bonus, so I only took away 150,000 credits here, but of course we do get the bonus of 500,000 credits for all 5 ticks. So it's time to go ahead and open up our rewards for this week. Of course we have our daily driving marathon first of a 4-star roulette ticket. Now of course these are very hit and miss, and unfortunately this time around once again it's going to be a miss. We're going to be awarded with around about 30,000 credits for our daily driving marathon. Definitely not the best overall reward we could have gotten. So we're going to add that to the account. Of course, for one event, we're going to add 100k as well. And then for completing 2 events after that, we get the 200,000 credit ticket. So once again, we're just going to go and add that. And of course, open up the final one, which is 500,000 credits for all 5 events. And there we go. That is going to be this week's set of weekly challenges done and dusted. The last set for January 2025. Let me know what you thought of them down below. Honestly, I think they were kind of, compact enough that they were enjoyable. I think the payout's kind of worth your time this week. It's not going to take you too long. And I do feel that the high-speed frantic action with the F3500 was absolutely fantastic at the high-speed ring. Anyway, that's going to be it from me today. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.